Maya stood in the parking lot of the old community center, her leather portfolio clutched tight against her chest. 12 years. It had been 12 years since she'd driven down these streets, seen these mountains in the distance, breathed this air that somehow smelled different from the city. Her boss had called it a simple renovation project. But nothing about coming back to Riverside was simple. She pushed through the heavy wooden doors, and there he was. Ryan. Standing by a pile of lumber, talking to someone on his phone, laughing at something. He looked different now. His shoulders were broader, and there were tiny lines around his eyes that weren't there before. But his smile, that smile was exactly the same. When he turned and saw her, the phone almost slipped from his hand. For a moment, neither of them moved. The air between them felt thick, heavy with all the words they'd never said to each other. Maya, he finally spoke, and his voice was deeper than she remembered. Hi, Ryan. She tried to sound professional, like her heart wasn't beating so fast she could hear it in her ears. They shook hands. His palm was rough, calloused from years of construction work. Hers was smooth, softened by years of drawing buildings instead of building them. The handshake lasted maybe 2 seconds too long, and they both noticed. So, you're the architect they sent. Ryan rubbed the back of his neck, a habit he'd had since high school. And you're the contractor. Maya managed a small smile. Small world, he said. Small town, she corrected. They spent the next hour walking through the building, discussing walls that needed to come down and spaces that needed to open up. Maya explained her vision, while Ryan took notes, asking questions about support beams and electrical work. Anyone watching would have thought they were just two professionals doing their jobs. But underneath every word about blueprints and budgets, there was another conversation happening. One about the night she'd left, the promises they'd broken, and the life they might have had together. Later that evening, Maya sat alone in the corner booth at Rosie's Diner, the only restaurant in town that stayed open past 8. She ordered coffee and pie, remembering how she and Ryan used to come here after Friday night football games. How they'd share a slice of apple pie and talk about leaving this town together, seeing the world, building something bigger than what Riverside could offer. But she'd left alone. She'd gotten into the architecture program in Chicago, packed her car one August morning, and driven away while Ryan was still sleeping. She'd left a note, a coward's way out, she knew that now. The note had said something about needing to find herself, about not wanting to hold him back. But the truth was messier. The truth was, she'd watched her mother spend 30 years in this town, watching her dreams get smaller and smaller, and Maya was terrified of becoming that. Terrified that loving Ryan meant choosing between her own life and his. Mind if I sit? The voice startled her. Ryan stood beside the booth, holding his own cup of coffee. Maya gestured to the empty seat. It's a free country. They sat in silence for a while, both staring at their coffee cups like they held the secrets of the universe. I heard about you and Jessica, Maya said quietly. I'm sorry it didn't work out, Ryan shrugged. Yeah. Well, turns out getting married because everyone expects you to isn't the best foundation for a relationship. You have a daughter, though. That's wonderful. His face lit up the way it only does when parents talk about their kids. Lily. She's 11. Smart as a whip. Drives me crazy asking questions about everything. She sounds perfect. She is. Ryan took a sip of his coffee. What about you? Married? Kids? Big life in the city? Maya shook her head. No, none of that. Just work, mostly. Building other people's dreams. That doesn't sound like the Maya I knew. You had dreams of your own. People change, Ryan. Do they? He looked at her then. Really looked at her. And Maya felt something shift inside her chest. Or do they just get better at pretending? Maya didn't have an answer for that. She finished her coffee, left money on the table, and walked out into the cool evening air. Behind her, she could feel Ryan watching her go. Just like he'd probably watched her leave 12 years ago, standing in his driveway, reading her note over and over, trying to understand how everything had fallen apart so fast. As she drove to her mother's house where she'd be staying for the next few months, Maya wondered if taking this project had been a terrible mistake. But deep down, in that place where we keep the truths we're afraid to admit, she knew she'd said yes the moment her boss mentioned Riverside. She'd said yes because some part of her had never really left this town at all. The next 3 weeks fell into a pattern. Maya would arrive at the construction site each morning with fresh sketches and ideas. Ryan would study them, suggest practical changes, and they'd debate the merits of form versus function like two people who actually enjoyed arguing with each other. The crew working on the project started making jokes about their old married couple energy, which made both of them uncomfortable in ways they couldn't quite explain. One afternoon, while Maya was measuring a wall, Ryan appeared beside her with 2 bottles of cold water. The day was hot, the kind of heat that made your shirt stick to your back and your thoughts move slowly. "Break time," he announced, handing her a bottle. They sat on the floor, in what would eventually become the main hall, backs against the wall, shoulders almost touching. "Can I ask you something?" Ryan's voice was careful, like he was approaching a nervous animal. "Why didn't you just tell me? Back then? Why the note?" Maya had known this conversation would come eventually. She'd rehearsed answers in her head during the long drive from Chicago. But now, sitting here with him, all those practiced words disappeared. "I was scared," she said simply. "My mom spent her whole life in Riverside. She was so smart, had all these plans to travel, to study art in Paris. Then she met my dad, had me, and suddenly her world got smaller and smaller. I watched her happiness shrink until she barely recognized herself anymore. Your mom made her own choices, Maya. I know that now. But back then, all I could see was what staying here cost her. And I loved you so much, Ryan. So much it terrified me. Because loving you meant choosing, and I was afraid of choosing wrong." Ryan was quiet for a long moment. "You know what the funny thing is? I would have gone with you. To Chicago. Anywhere. You never asked." The words hit Maya like cold water. All these years, she'd told herself that leaving was necessary, that Ryan belonged in Riverside and she belonged somewhere else. But what if she'd just been too afraid to have the conversation? "I didn't think you'd want to leave," she whispered. "I wanted to be wherever you were." Ryan's voice was rough. "But you'd already decided what I wanted without asking me." Before Maya could respond, her phone rang. Her boss, calling about another project in the city. She stepped outside to take the call, and when she came back, Ryan was gone. Just a note on the floor where he'd been sitting. "Had to pick up Lily from school. See you tomorrow." That evening, Maya's mother made dinner, her famous chicken and rice that tasted like childhood and comfort. They ate in the small kitchen where Maya had done her homework, had her first heartbreak, learned to bake cookies that always came out slightly burned. "You're going to have to talk to him properly, you know," her mother said, not looking up from her plate. "We talk every day, Mom. That's not what I mean, and you know it." Her mother's eyes were kind but firm. "You're dancing around each other like two people afraid of the music. What if it's too late? What if I ruined everything 12 years ago?" Her mother reached across the table and squeezed Maya's hand. "Baby girl, it's only too late if you keep running. At some point, you have to stand still long enough to see what's actually in front of you." That night, Maya couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about what Ryan had said, how he would have left with her if she'd asked. She'd built an entire story in her head about sacrifice and staying and leaving, but she'd never included him in writing it. The next day at the site, things felt different. Ryan was quieter, more distant. He answered her questions about the project but didn't make jokes or suggest they grab lunch. Maya hated it. She hated the wall that had gone up between them overnight. Around 3 in the afternoon, a young girl burst through the construction site doors, backpack bouncing, ponytail swinging. She ran straight to Ryan and threw her arms around his waist. "Daddy, Coach, let us out early because of the heat." This was Lily. Maya watched as Ryan's entire face softened, as he knelt down to his daughter's level and asked about her day. The love there was so pure, so uncomplicated, that Maya felt something ache in her chest. "Who's that?" Lily asked, noticing Maya for the first time. "That's Maya. She's the architect designing the new center. Ryan's voice was carefully neutral. Lily walked over with the fearless curiosity of children who haven't learned to be nervous around strangers yet. Are you making it beautiful? Maya smiled despite herself. I'm trying to make it useful and beautiful. That's hard. Miss Peterson says you can't always have both. Miss Peterson doesn't know everything, Maya replied, and Lily giggled. I like you, Lily announced. Then, turning to her father, can she come to my soccer game on Saturday? Ryan looked panicked. Lily, Maya's probably busy. Actually, Maya heard herself say. I'm free. On Saturday. Saturday morning arrived with clear skies and the kind of weather that made everything feel possible. Maya showed up at the soccer field wearing jeans and a light sweater, feeling nervous in a way she hadn't felt since high school. This wasn't a work meeting or a professional obligation. This was personal, and that made everything more complicated. She spotted Ryan in the bleachers, saving a seat beside him. When she climbed up and sat down, he handed her a coffee without a word. Black. 2 sugars. The fact that he remembered how she took her coffee after all these years made her heart do something strange in her chest. Thanks for coming, he said quietly. Lily hasn't stopped talking about you since Tuesday. She's a great kid, Ryan. You should be proud. I am. He paused, watching the teams warm up on the field. Being her dad is the one thing I know I've done right. They sat in comfortable silence as the game started. Lily played with fierce determination, chasing the ball across the field with her ponytail flying behind her. Every time she got near the goal, Ryan would lean forward, hands clasped together like he was praying. When Lily finally scored in the second half, he jumped up and cheered so loud that people 3 rows away turned to look. Maya found herself laughing, genuinely laughing, for the first time in months. There was something about watching Ryan be a father that cracked open something in her chest. This was what she'd missed by leaving. Not just him, but this. The ordinary moments that make up a life, the Saturday morning soccer games and the bad coffee and the simple joy of watching someone you care about be happy. After the game, Lily ran over, sweaty and grinning. Did you see my goal? It was amazing, Maya said, and meant it. Dad, can Maya come for ice cream with us, please? Ryan looked at Maya, a question in his eyes. She nodded. They ended up at Sweet Dreams, the ice cream shop that had been on Main Street for 50 years. Lily ordered a triple scoop of chocolate, while Ryan and Maya stuck with single cones. They sat at a wobbly outdoor table while Lily told them everything about her team, her friends, and her teacher, who apparently had 3 cats and knew magic tricks. She talks a lot, Ryan said apologetically when Lily paused to breathe. I like it, Maya said honestly. She's curious about everything. That's a gift. When Lily went inside to ask for extra napkins, Ryan turned to Maya. Can I be honest about something? Please. Having you here, it's bringing back a lot of stuff I thought I'd dealt with. And I don't know if that's good or bad yet. Maya nodded slowly. I know what you mean. Being back here, seeing you, it's like the last 12 years just disappeared. But they didn't disappear. They happened. We're different people now. Are we, though? Ryan's eyes were intense, searching her face. Or are we just older versions of who we always were? Before Maya could answer, Lily came back with a handful of napkins and the moment passed. But the question hung in the air between them for the rest of the afternoon. That evening, Maya worked late at the construction site, refining some details in her drawings. She was so focused that she didn't hear Ryan come in until he spoke. You're going to hurt your eyes working in this light. Maya jumped, then laughed at herself. You scared me. Sorry. I saw your car outside and thought I'd check on you. He walked over to look at what she was working on. This is beautiful. Maya. Really, this building is going to be something special. Thanks. I want it to be perfect. For the town, you know, Riverside deserves something good. You sound like you actually care about this place. There was no judgment in his voice, just curiosity. I do. I always did. That was never the problem. Maya set down her pencil and looked up at him. The problem was me thinking that caring about something meant being trapped by it. Ryan pulled up a chair and sat down beside her. What changed? Honestly, nothing changed. I just got tired of running. She let out a long breath. My life in Chicago looks perfect on paper. Great job. Nice apartment. Respect in my field. But I come home every night to an empty place and I can't remember the last time I had a conversation that mattered. The last time I felt truly connected to anything. Is that why you took this project? To feel connected? Maybe. Or maybe I just needed to face what I left behind. Maya looked at him directly. Face you. Tell you I'm sorry for how I ended things. For not giving you a choice, for being too scared to be honest. Ryan was quiet for a moment, his expression unreadable. Then he reached over and took her hand, just held it gently between both of his. I was angry for a long time, he said. Really angry. But I'm not anymore. We were kids, Maya. Scared kids. Trying to figure out how to be adults. You did what you thought you had to do. That doesn't make it right. No, but it makes it human. He squeezed her hand once before letting go. The question is, what do we do now? Because I can feel it. This thing between us, and I don't think you drove all the way here just for a construction project. Maya's phone buzzed on the table. An email from her boss. Subject line, Dubai project. Are you interested? Her finger hovered over it. Then she turned the phone face down without opening it. I don't know what we do now, she admitted. But I know I'm tired of running away from things that scare me. Ryan stood up, offered her his hand. Then maybe we start with dinner tomorrow night? A real dinner. Not just two people eating separately at the same diner. Maya took his hand and let him pull her to her feet. They stood there, close enough that she could see the flecks of gold in his brown eyes, smell the sawdust and coffee that seemed to follow him everywhere. Okay, she said softly. Dinner. Maya changed her outfit 3 times before the dinner. A dress felt too formal, jeans too casual, and everything in between seemed wrong somehow. She finally settled on a simple blue top and dark pants, telling herself this was just dinner with an old friend. Her racing heart suggested otherwise. Ryan picked her up at 7, and if he was nervous, he hit it well. He'd made reservations at a small Italian restaurant 2 towns over, far enough from Riverside that they wouldn't run into everyone they knew. The restaurant was intimate, with soft lighting and candles on every table. They ordered wine and pasta, making small talk about the construction project and the weather. But both of them knew they were avoiding the real conversation. Finally, halfway through the meal, Ryan set down his fork and looked at her. Tell me about your life in Chicago. The real version. Not the one you put on social media. Maya took a sip of wine, buying time. It's busy. I work a lot. Most nights I'm at the office until 9 or 10. Weekends too. Sometimes. Do you have friends there? Colleagues, mostly. We get drinks after work sometimes. Talk about projects and clients and office politics. She paused. I had a relationship. About 2 years ago. Another architect. We dated for 8 months. What happened? He wanted something I couldn't give him. Commitment. A future. The ability to be fully present, instead of always thinking about the next project. Maya smiled sadly. He told me I was married to my work, and he was right. Is that what you want? To be married to your work? I thought it was. I thought if I just worked hard enough, achieved enough, I'd feel fulfilled. But lately, I've been wondering if I've been chasing the wrong things. The waiter came to clear their plates, and they ordered coffee. The restaurant was starting to empty out, other couples heading home to their regular lives. Maya envied them their certainty, their knowing where they belonged. Can I tell you something? Ryan's voice was quiet. When Jessica and I split up, Lily asked me if I was sad. And I was. But not for the reasons you'd think. I was sad because I'd spent 5 years married to someone, and I never felt as connected to her as I felt to you in the 6 months we dated in high school. Maya's breath caught. Ryan. Let me finish. He reached across the table and took her hand. I'm not saying this to make you feel guilty or to pressure you into anything. I just need you to know that what we had, it was real. And seeing you again, working with you these past few weeks, it's like someone turned the lights back on after I've been sitting in the dark. I am wanting. I feel it too, Maya admitted. Every day I try to tell myself, this is just nostalgia. Just old feelings that don't mean anything anymore. But then you smile at me, or we argue about building codes, and I remember why I fell in love with you in the first place. So, what are we doing here, Maya? Because I'm too old to play games. I have a daughter who's been through one divorce already. I can't bring someone into her life unless I'm sure. Before Maya could answer, her phone rang. Her boss, again. She'd been calling all week about the Dubai project. The opportunity of a lifetime. A 2-year contract that would make her career. Maya's thumb hovered over the ignore button. You should take that, Ryan said, pulling his hand back. It can wait. Maya, don't ignore your real life because of one dinner with me. She answered the call, stepped outside into the parking lot. Her boss was excited, talking fast about the project details, the team they were assembling, the incredible opportunity this represented. Maya said all the right things, promised to have an answer by Monday, and ended the call feeling hollow. When she came back inside, Ryan was paying the check. The drive back to Riverside was quiet. Both of them lost in their own thoughts. He walked her to her mother's door. Hands in his pockets. That was about a job? He asked. Dubai. 2 years. Maybe more. Lead architect on a massive project. It's everything I've worked for. Congratulations, Ryan said, and he meant it. You should take it. Just like that? You're not going to ask me to stay? 12 years ago, you left because you thought I'd hold you back. I'm not going to prove you right. His voice was gentle but firm. I want you to be happy. Maya. Even if that happiness is on the other side of the world, and what if I don't know what makes me happy anymore? Ryan stepped closer, lifted her chin with his fingers so she had to look at him. Then maybe you need to stop running long enough to figure it out. But that's something you have to do for yourself. Not for me. Not for any job. For you. He kissed her forehead, a gentle touch that felt like both a hello and goodbye, then walked back to his truck. Maya stood on the porch, watching his taillights disappear into the night. Her heart and her head at war with each other. Inside, her mother was still awake, reading in the living room. She looked up as Maya came in, saw her daughter's face, and opened her arms. Maya collapsed onto the couch beside her and cried for the first time since coming home. Cried for the girl who'd left 12 years ago. For the woman who'd forgotten how to want anything except success. For the future she might be brave enough to choose if she could just figure out what that future looked like. What do I do, Mom? She asked when the tears finally stopped. Her mother stroked her hair like she had when Maya was small. Baby, you know I love you more than anything in this world. And because I love you, I need to tell you the truth. I wasn't unhappy because I stayed in Riverside. I was unhappy because I forgot how to choose my own joy. I blamed your father, blamed this town, blamed everything except myself for not fighting for what I wanted. But you gave up so much. I gave up things, yes. But I also gained things. You. This community. A life that had meaning, even when it wasn't exciting. The mistake wasn't staying. The mistake was believing that staying meant I couldn't grow. She cupped Maya's face in her hands. Don't make my mistakes, but don't run from them either. Choose your life, honey. Actually choose it. Whatever that choice is, make sure it's yours. Maya spent Sunday alone, walking through Riverside like she was seeing it for the first time. She went to the park where she'd learned to ride a bike, the library where she'd spent countless afternoons, the high school where she'd first kissed Ryan under the bleachers after a football game. She wasn't looking for answers exactly, more like trying to remember who she was before she became someone so focused on leaving. Monday morning came too fast. The community center project was nearly finished, just a few final touches left. Maya arrived early, before the crew, before Ryan. She stood in the main hall, looking at what they'd built together. It was beautiful, functional. Exactly what she'd envisioned. But more than that, it felt alive. Like it was ready to hold 1,000 small moments that would matter to the people who used it. It's something, isn't it? Ryan's voice echoed in the empty space. She turned to find him standing in the doorway, 2 cups of coffee in his hands. He held one out to her. That small gesture they'd fallen into over the weeks. She took it. Grateful. I called my boss this morning, Maya said. Told her I needed more time to think about Dubai. Ryan's expression didn't change. How much time? I don't know. Enough to be sure. She set the coffee down on a windowsill, turned to face him fully. These past few weeks with you, they've made me question everything I thought I knew about what I wanted. That's not fair to you, Maya. Or to me, really. Ryan's voice was careful. You can't build your life around me any more than you could 12 years ago. I know that. But maybe I've been so afraid of building my life around someone else that I forgot to actually build a life at all. She stepped closer to him. I don't want Dubai because it's what I'm supposed to want. I want to want it. But when my boss called, all I felt was tired. Tired of proving something to people who don't even matter. Tired of being alone in a different city. Tired of running. So stay, Ryan said simply. Stay here. Not for me, but because you want to. It's not that simple. Why not? You're a brilliant architect, Maya. You could open your own firm here, take on projects that matter to you instead of whatever your boss assigns. You could have a life that's yours, not one you borrowed from someone else's idea of success. And what about us? The question hung in the air between them, heavy with possibility and fear. Ryan took both her hands, held them gently like they were something precious. Here's what I know. I'm not the kid I was 12 years ago. I'm a father. I have responsibilities. I can't just pick up and follow you wherever you go. But I'm also not going to let you walk away again without telling you the truth. What truth? That I never stopped loving you. Not during my marriage. Not during the divorce. Not in all the years between then and now. His eyes were clear, honest, asking nothing but offering everything. And if you stay, if you choose to build a life here, I want to be part of it. Not the whole thing, not your reason for staying, just part of it. Someone who's there for Sunday morning coffee and Friday night dinners, and all the ordinary moments in between. Maya felt tears on her cheeks, but they weren't sad tears. They were the kind that come when something locked inside you finally breaks open. I'm scared, she whispered. What if I stay and I regret it? What if I wake up in 5 years and feel trapped again? Then you leave. But this time, you'll leave knowing you tried. Knowing you were brave enough to choose something instead of running from it. Ryan wiped her tears with his thumb. I can't promise you perfect, Maya. I can't promise you won't have doubts or hard days or moments when you wonder what if. But I can promise you real. I can promise you someone who sees you, all of you, and thinks you're worth building something with. Behind them, they heard voices. The construction crew arriving, Lily's laughter as she ran in to say good morning to her dad. Real life, happening in real time, full of noise and mess and possibility. Maya looked into Ryan's eyes, saw her reflection there, saw the future they could build if she was brave enough to reach for it. She thought about Dubai, about her apartment in Chicago, about all the versions of success she'd been chasing. And then she thought about Saturday soccer games and terrible coffee and arguments about building codes with someone who made her laugh. Come here, she said softly, pulling him closer. Before I change my mind. Ryan's smile was like sunrise, bright and new and full of promise. When they kissed, it felt like coming home and starting an adventure at the same time. Behind them, they heard Lily make a sound of delight. Heard the construction crew cheering and whistling. They broke apart, both laughing, both a little embarrassed, both happy in a way that felt earned instead of easy. So you're staying? Ryan asked, still holding her close. I'm staying. For me first, but also for this. For us. For the chance to build something real. 3 months later, Maya opened her own architecture firm in a small office on Main Street. She took on projects that mattered. Designing spaces for her community instead of strangers. She had dinner with Ryan and Lily twice a week, slowly building a relationship with his daughter that felt natural instead of forced. She called her boss in Chicago and recommended someone brilliant to take the Dubai project, feeling not regret, but relief. Some mornings she still woke up afraid, wondering if she'd made the right choice. But then she'd walk to her office, wave to neighbors who knew her name, meet Ryan for lunch in the middle of a busy day, and the fear would quiet. She was building a life, piece by piece, choice by choice. Not the life she'd planned, but maybe the life she'd needed all along. And every time Ryan looked at her with those eyes full of love and possibility, she remembered that day in the half-finished community center, when she'd been brave enough to ask him to come closer before she changed her mind. It turned out that was all it took sometimes. Just one moment of courage, one choice to stop running, one chance to build something worth staying for.